Hello and welcome. I'm Raghav and today we will learn how to run our robot framework tests from Jenkins, and this is a starting for continuous integration. So the first step is we have to download Jenkins. So if you go to your browser and search for download Jenkins, it will take you to this jenkins.io download website. You can go here, and if you go down you will find this generic java package.war. So I will take this, I will click on this and it will download, and then I will go in my folder. So here it is downloaded in downloads, and you can see this is here. I also have this jenkins.war file which is the same which was downloaded earlier, so I can make use of that. So once you have downloaded, we have to start and set up Jenkins. So for starting, you can go to the location of this file on command line. So for example, this is on downloads, so I will open my command line and I will first go to the downloads folder, and now I'm in the downloads folder. So now I can run the command java-jar jenkins.war. So this is java-jar jenkins.war, which is the file name, and if I hit enter now, it will start Jenkins on the default port, that is 8080. However, sometimes the 8080 port is busy, so it's better I run Jenkins on a different port. So for that I can say minus http port, and p is uppercase in port, and I will say equals to any other port number, let us say 9090. So this will start the Jenkins server. Let me also write down the step here. So step number 3 is, so let me put this in this step number 2. The command is java-jar jenkins.war, and the second command, in case you want to use a specific port number, you can say java-jar jenkins.war and minus http port equals to whatever port number you want to give, and before this you have to cd to the location of jenkins.war file, and this is on command line. So let me also highlight these two commands. So this is how you will start your Jenkins, and once you get this message Jenkins is fully up and running, you can go to your browser and say local host and colon and your port number whatever you have given. So this is localhost colon and the port number. You can also use your IP of your system instead of localhost, but if you are working on the same system, localhost will also work fine, and hit enter. This should open your Jenkins. So you can see this is our Jenkins, and the first thing is we have to give the administrator password to unlock it. Now if you go back to your command line where you started Jenkins, if you go a little up, you will find this admin password. So you can see here, please use the following password to proceed for installation. So this is the password you have to use. Now just in case you do not find it here, you can always go to your C and go to users and go to your username, whoever is the user logged in, and here you will find a folder by the name .jenkins created, and if you go inside this, go inside secrets, you will find a file initial admin password. You can open this with any of the text editors and you can see your password here. So you can get it from any of these locations, and go to Jenkins, provide the password and say continue, and this will ask to install some suggested plugins or select the plugins to install. Now you may go with suggested plugins, but just to save time on this video I'm going to go with selected plugins so that I can remove the plugins which I do not need. So you can see we have all these plugins. We have organization and administration. Here I do not need OWASP. And then in build feature, I do not need credential binding. I do not need timestamper. Timestamper is fine. This is fine. I do not need Gradle or and for now I can always add them separately from manage plugins section. So I'm just removing what I do not need. I do not need the pipelines here as of now, and here I need git is fine, and subversion I do not need for now. And then all this LDAP and metrics is fine, email and mailer, all this is okay. So I will click on install, and whatever plugins I have checked, they will get installed. In your case you can go with the suggested plugins, that should be okay. So this will install the plugins and then start our Jenkins. So let me also write it down. We have to set up the Jenkins, add plugins and start. And you can see we have now got this window to create the first admin user. Now you can either wish to continue with the admin user, so you will have to use the same password like we had seen in the secrets folder. However, it's better if you create a user. I will just create a user so that I do not have to always use that password. I will create my own password here. And I can give something here, and that should be fine. Save and continue, and save and finish, and start using Jenkins. So this is now, Jenkins is now ready and we can start using Jenkins. So here is the Jenkins homepage, and here we can start creating a new item. This is also called jobs in Jenkins. So I will say create a new job and then add commands to run robot tests. So these are the next steps. So I will first create a job. I can click here, create a new jobs, or I can go to new item. Both will take me to the same window. I will click here and I will give some name. I will say robot tests. Click on freestyle and say okay. So this will create this job by the name robot tests. And here you can see we have different options. We have source code management, build triggers, build environment, build, post build actions. Now the very first thing I'm going to do is I can also take my project from Git directly, so I can use my Git repository. So if I see in the early session I had added a Git repository on GitHub, so I can make use of that. You can skip this step in case you do not want to use the version controlling, or you do not want to use the source code management in Jenkins. In my case I'm just going to show you that I will copy the location of this repository and provide it here, and that is fine. And before doing any further steps, I will just check if it is able to pull my project from GitHub. So I will say apply and save, and now I will click on build now. So I will click here, it will start my build and you will see the build history here. So you can see the first build here, and this looks like it is successful, and I can go to the console output and check, and you can see here it is actually fetching the project from Git, and this should be fine. Now let me also see where it is adding. So this is adding it in here. So this is the default workspace. I can copy this and check on my folder. I will just go to this location. So this is by default the .jenkins workspace and robot tests, and you can see our robot test is pulled from Git here. Now I can actually wish to put it in a different location. So for example, I want it to go into D drive, and let us say I want to go to this desktop. So desktop is the name of a folder on my D drive, and workspaces, and I will create a new folder, Jenkins workspace. Oh, there is already a folder here. Inside the Jenkins workspace, I will create a new folder by the name robot framework, and I'm going to use this. I will copy the location and go back to my project on Jenkins and go to configure, and here on the general section there is a advanced button. I will click here and I have the option use custom workspace. I will give this directory and I will say this is robot workspace. I will say apply and save, and now I will build again, and this time it should put everything inside this, and you can see it is putting our entire project inside the Jenkins workspace robot framework folder. So this is successful. Now I will go back to the project and go to configure, and here now I am able to get my project from Git. Then we have build triggers, so I can also select poll SCM. That would mean that I can give it time, and at this interval it will keep on checking if there are any commits or push made in the Git repository of the project, and if there are any commits or push made, it will trigger the project based on this. But as of now I will remove this and I will go to the build step. Now you can directly go to the build step and you can skip the earlier step of adding the source code management or the step where we added Git. You can skip this. You can directly come here and say execute Windows batch command in case you are on Windows, and you can select execute shell in case you are on Mac or Linux. So I am on Windows for now, so I will say execute Windows batch command, and here you have to give the command that you used to run your robot framework from command line. So if you have seen the earlier session where I told how to run from command line, the steps are you have to go to the location of your robot project folder and then run the command robot -t test name and test suite name. So I will do the same thing. Now in this case, because I am getting the project here in a new folder, I am going to use this. I will copy this location and I will say d colon and then cd to this location. I am using d colon because I have to go to a path which is in D drive, and then I will say robot -t and the test case name and then test suite name, or I can just give the test suite name so that I do not I can run all the test cases in that test suite. So that is test, and then the test suite name is inside the test folder. The test suite name is this. So let me just copy it so that I do not make any spelling errors, and I will say it here, and then I will just say echo completed and apply and save. So I will run this now. I will say build now and let me check the results. So yes, this is building. Let me see the console output, and yes, looks like everything is fine. It is running my first test, my second test, my third test, and my fourth test. Now also you can have some plugins for robot framework. So this is working fine, and what you can do is you can go back to your project, and actually you can go back to Jenkins and go to manage Jenkins from here, and here you will find an option to manage plugins. Go here, go to your available section and search for robot. You will find this option robot framework. You can click on this link to go to the location of the documentation. So I can click here and it will give me the documentation of this robot framework, and to get it I will just click on this checkbox and say install without restart. So this will install the robot framework plugin, and this is done. So I will go back to my project. So here is my robot project, and here now I will go to configure again, and now I will go to post build actions, which is the last section, and here I will find this option, publish robot framework test results. Now this option you will get only once you have added the plugin. So I will select this, and then I have to give the location of my result files. So my result files should be created here, so I can give this location, and I will give it here, and then I will say you can give some threshold for warnings and errors. So that means that what should be the percentage before it should show this as a failure. So what should be the percentage of warnings or errors, so that you can give. For now I am skipping that, and I will say apply and save, and I will say build now to build the project, and that is fine. It is running fine. If I go to robot results now, you can see there are some results coming here. Let me run this again so you can see some more results. I will say build now, and here this is running fine, and it is fine. If I go back to robot results, you can see these are the results. So you get the robot results directly in Eclipse. You also get the option to go to the reports. If I click here, I'm getting some error that opening robot framework report failed. For this there is some security exception. So if you search for Jenkins content security policy, uh, there is this wiki page. Let us go here, and it says, if you go a little down, so here we have to add this in our Jenkins script console. So here we have to use hudson.model.directory browser. I can use this, or I can use this. I'll just use this, copy this, and go to my Jenkins, and I will go to Jenkins and go to manage Jenkins. Here you will find a option to run script. So this is script console. I will put this here and say run. If you get the option like result here, that means it is successful. And now if I go back to my project or the robot job, and I will say build now, it will run the new build. And then if I go to robot results, if I go to report.html, and now I can open the HTML report. So here you can see we get the executed time and duration, and then you can see all the result and trends here. You can also zoom to changes, and you can also filter out like show only failed and show only critical, and also you can select the builds here. So you can see how many builds you want to see, and then duration trend is here. Again you can see this one, and then we have test suites. If you go here, you can see the test suites and all the test cases and the detailed information for all the test cases. So this is how you can use your Jenkins, and you can add your robot framework. So let me also check the notes, and yes, you can add commands, and then you can add robot framework plugin and setup and run. Now there are a lot of things you can do once you have your job on Jenkins. So you can see some advantages here. One of the advantages, now we are always getting our project from the from Git. So we are doing source code management. So let me just take you back and to configure. So you can see we are doing source code management. We are getting the project from Git every time. So I will always get the latest changes which are there on GitHub, and then I can select a build trigger. So I can either build periodically, I can use some cron expression. If you click on this question mark, you will get this documentation to create a cron expression, and I can build periodically. Like if I want to run this project every 2 hours or every night or at a certain expected time, I can do that. I can also say poll SCM, and then again I can do the interval. I can give the interval here. So with this interval, it will keep on checking Git or my repository GitHub, and if it finds any change, it will trigger this test. And then you can always add some downstream and upstream jobs to create an entire pipeline, and you can create a build pipeline something like this. If I show you some image of Jenkins build pipeline and I go to images, you can also see this video. This is my video on Jenkins, how to create build pipelines. And if I show you the images, this is how you can create a pipeline. So suppose you want to run with a starting with a dev job, and that should trigger a testing job, and that should trigger your automation testing job, and once this is done, it should trigger a deployment job. All this can be chained, and you can get a pipeline like this. And you can watch this video to see how this is done. Let me also copy this link in the notes here, how to create Jenkins pipeline. And then in case you need any more help with Jenkins, you can always go to my website, which is automationstepbystep.com, and here you will find a option for online courses. So you can go to this online courses link from automationstepbystep.com, and here you will find courses for Jenkins. So you can just watch this playlist and you can do a lot of things with Jenkins. So this is how you can add your robot project on Jenkins and run your robot tests from Jenkins. I hope that this session was very useful for you. Thank you for watching.